Hi, I'm Patty with StudioR12 Stencils, and today I'm going to show you how to transform this $3 Dollar Tree surface and make it into a beautiful spring welcome project. This is such a cool little surface. For just $3, it's really a quality thing, and if you like framed surfaces, you could paint this on the back side because it doesn't have any of that hardware and stuff like that, so you could paint this side or this side. Very cool. And then I wanted to share StudioR12 Stencils. We've really got a cute project in store for you today. Has different size stencils, which I think is really important. So you can mix and match these. Hello Spring, I think, comes in 3 sizes. The flowers that I'm going to use today come in 3 sizes. So, and then I'm going to show you how to use an overblown big flower and pair it with a little word stencil. So this is going to be a really good lesson today. We've got some ombre. We're going to show you how to do some shading on your flowers and leaves. What do you do about stencil lines if you're not going to paint the background? I've got some really cool techniques. So let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do with a surface like this feels very absorbable. It's a piece of like a birch kind of thing, and so I think it's going to make my paint absorb funny. I think it's going to make things rise up. I'm just instinctually going to say I need to seal the surface. So 2 ways that you can do that. There's a whole bunch of ways you can. You can use Duraclear matte varnish. As a matte varnish, you can paint over the matte because it's not shiny, or you could use a multi-purpose sealer. Either of these will work and it will stop things from being porous. And what do you use to apply the varnish? Well, there's 3 ways that are super simple. You can use a good brush that will leave smoothness. If you have anything too bristly, like say something like this with scratchy bristles, that might leave a texture, and if you don't want the texture, you're gonna be sad. So, don't wanna use that guy. And then you could use a sponge and a poly foam brush, or you could use a nice smooth fine brush. And today I think I'm gonna go ahead and use this guy. I'm using a fold top plastic bag as a glove, and I'll just pick up some of the varnish and then go with the grain of the wood and then just apply it all over the top and on the sides. And after I get done, I'm gonna go back on top because it goes so fast. I can go and fix any that came over the edge from pushing on the sides. After you get done and it's all dry, you can hear it's got a little raised tooth and texture. So what we want to do is use a 220 grit. Just lightly sand that to knock that texture back. Quality surface texture makes a much nicer product in the end. It seems really silly, but if you spend a little bit of time in your smooth base coat, in your sanding in between layers, if you're going to put a lot of layers, or in your finish, then it makes your project seem very high-end. Design-wise, what I decided to do was take a smaller than my surface, and I'm going to put it centered so that I have equal space, and then I'm going to lift it up so that it's higher because I want to put weight of flowers down here at the bottom. I'm going to not do these elements, and then what I want to do first is I want to do a drop shadow. So I'm going to use stencil to do a drop shadow, and then I'm going to reposition it so that it is away from the drop shadow. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I've got this lined up. I'm using the straight of my board with the straight of my stencil, and I'm going to pull this over to the right 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to go up 1/4 of an inch. And see that I'm straight. Okay, so I'll put 2 pieces of tape, and now you can't move your stencil. We are going to take a dome brush. Dome brushes are way better for doing your base coating than the traditional old-fashioned stippling brush. This will kick out when you push on it, and it slides underneath your stencil edge, and that makes bleeding under. Okay, so that's the dreaded thing that you don't want to do. I'm going to swap out palettes. So what we're doing is we're taking this cool gray and we're mixing in the warm pink and the warm green. And what this is doing for me is it is making a gray that is a neutral that goes with my palette, and I actually put too much green in there, so I'll just put a little bit extra gray. That green is a strong green. You never know with colors how much pigment there is in them until you start mixing, because then they take over each other. Okay, that should be perfect. Look at what a nice neutral gray that is. Don't be afraid of mixing colors. It's actually a lot of fun. Okay, so to do the drop shadow, we're going to take our dry brush, pick up our paint just a little bit on it, and we're going to offload. And we always, always offload. If you just scoop and go over here, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of stuff underneath your stencil. And then we are going to swirl. I don't want either of these greenery bits done, so I'm going to use my multi-masker to not ghost on top of that area. Ghosting is when you accidentally hit a little area of your stencil that you don't want to have paint on. If you like these tricks, we share them in all of our videos, so make sure that you subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notified when we have new sassy, cool pro tips and techniques for you. When I'm doing a long area that doesn't have a piece of plastic connecting it, then I tend to swirl with my the shape of the area instead of going across it, which could catch it and shove paint under. So watch for long, skinny areas. And sometimes in a long, skinny area, I'll just go ahead and pounce so I don't make a mess. Now I mixed up a good pile of this green over here, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to show you a really cool technique on, so once you put this on a white background, every one of these plastic bits will be white underneath because it's protected because of the plastic. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do first to prevent that from happening. That's a really good technique. And now I'm picking up my tape and I'm going to slide down. It's stuck. I'm going to slide down the 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to slide over. And then we're going to paint our letters. So our letters are going to be a mix of a couple of colors. Pinks are really difficult to manage, and so I just don't want pink to get away from me. So a lot of times pinks can be really, really blown out, but it's such a good spring color and it's so fresh and pretty. Okay, so we're going to take our pink and put just a little bit of 61 in it. I wanted it just a little bit stronger than it was. A little bit of our 67. I want to kind of tone it back down away from pink, pink, pink. Let's get our letter going. So we're going to take a big size dome brush, get our pink, offload, always offload. It's going to take a couple of coats. Pinks are red, and red always takes a ton of coats. However, it's quick when you are swirling. Now I'm going to show you what we've got going on. I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to lift one corner so that you can see drop shadow. Okay. So, got our drop shadow. Now we're going to make this lettering magical. So we're going to do some ombre with it. I'm going to pick up my pink. I think I'm going to neutralize it a little bit with the green. I'm going to do the bottom with heavy color, and I'm going to just walk that. And be careful of my greenery. Don't want to go set. I'm going to fade as I go up. Less pressure. Come over, and then we'll go fade it, and then we'll have to bring that up so that I can do the bottom of the letters. Okay, let's take a look and see what we've got going on. I'm going to hold it. And so that's getting stronger. And then we're going to pick up just number 67, dirty brush. And I'm going to do that at the top. And it'll just give it a little zhuzh, as we call it. Let's take a little sneak peek Oh, that's getting pretty. I think we'll zhuzh it a little bit more. Let's take a peek. That's getting really pretty. I like it a lot. I think I want a little bit stronger down here. It's down at the very base. Kiss it. And then we'll dunk that in water. And then with this little guy, we're gonna go into our white. And I'm not gonna dry this off. I didn't rub it. I just have it so that it's drier. And I'm gonna dry brush right through my lettering. So you wanna make sure it's wiped off. It can go over a little bit onto your other colors. This is a technique I have not ever shared on our channel, so this is brand new. I think you're gonna enjoy it. But doing all this work right through your stencil is amazing. Okay, we're gonna peek. Always be a peeker. All right, and I'm not satisfied with my darkness of my two zhuzhing colors. So I'm gonna go in one more time at the very top. I may need to actually pull out a darker, see if I have a darker color. Don't think I have a darker one that I can use to get this persimmon going without doing a whole bunch of mixing, and I don't want to make you guys nuts about color mixing. So we'll just go over it one more time, and then we'll go into that 61. Ooh, hi. With white. You can't see the white on the white paper towel, so be careful. Okay, I think that's gonna be that for those colors. Now let's go, we're gonna make this one blue. I have two colors for the blue. I have number 47 and number 66. And 66 is gonna be a color that I don't think we use very often. I paint a lot of the samples here, and I am very much not a spring colors person. I tend to be jewel tones and darker colors. So the lighter colors are not normally my bag. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is the same kind of thing. We're going to take our blue, and you know what I think I want is some white. I'm taking a wad of that and want to make it a lighter blue. So I'm doing what they call brush mixing, but because I'm mixing with this dome brush, I'm putting a lot of paint in there, so I want to wipe it off. Okay, and then we're just going to do the same thing we did here. Do you notice I made a little handle for my multi-masker so that it makes it easy to move around. Okay, we're going to peek. And, ooh, you know, my drop shadow is really far away from this skinny little lettering. So what would we do about that? Let's talk about it. I'm going to remove my stencil. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white, and I'm going to just base down. Don't want to base coat, I want to base it down to mute it just a little bit. So I'm using this oval brush, which will allow me to do a little slip slap action. Okay, that'll work. It's good to have it there, but it was just because the lettering is so skinny, I wanted a deep drop shadow for this, but I forgot that these were so skinny. So that's why that happened. Okay, I'm repositioned my stencil, and now I'm going to blue again. Okay, let's take a look. And see how it's just an echo and it looks lovely. I'm gonna make it a little bit stronger. Maybe I'll do a little bit of the dark blue fade, dirty brush, and do it from the top down because I've got that heavy color here. Let's take a look. And maybe we want a little bit more. Okay, and now a little bit more. So did you catch what I did there? I wanted the whole lettering just a little bit darker. So I had the brush mix of my blue and white, put the dark blue, wiped it off on the towel. That made a whole new color. And then I was able to just do a fade. Okay, so now we're going to remove our stencil and that part's done. Let's talk about flowers. Got all of our pretty flowers. If you don't have some of these flower stencils, you need them for your projects because this can make things so pretty. You could do them tone on tone. I could do just a little bit of this green gray in flowers going on the other side here or off to the side. I could do just a little teeny bit of pink. I could do, like, you could do so many things with them. I'm going to put the heavy one down here, but before I do that, I want to get a little bit of this green gray down in under my flowers. This is such a pro tip. So we're going to wipe off my brush. We don't want this soupy. We don't want it messy. We want my brush to be damp, not wet. Okay, and then I'm going to go right here. And in this corner right here, I'm going to do what we call a slip slip. And actually, I'm going to pick up some water after I told you not to have any water. This surface is a little bit grabby. It's not bad at all. It's a great surface, but it is doing a little bit of a grabby motion. So I want this to be anchored in this corner. This is going to be like the background greens. And now I'm not going to add more paint. I'm going to add more water and let that fade. And I don't want you to be able to tell where one thing ends and one thing starts. I want that just to be like little walking off the edge. So if this guy is over the top of this, that should be just about right. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here, but it's less. And see how I'm doing these little X's? And then you can soften anything that looks harsh. And what this is going to do is when you put your stencil down, this is the color that's going to show through your flower, and that's going to give you less of a stenciled look. It's going to be a little bit more finished. Okay, into my water, and we'll dry. The next thing that you want to do is you want to play with your placement. I like it better when flowers hang off the edge of the wood, so I don't want it to be super, I don't want all this detail. Always tape on opposite sides. That helps you not have a bunch of things get wiggly. Okay, so we're going to use the heck out of our multi-maskers with this. Get a clean area here. And I think we need a big yellow flower. Ooh, hi. Okay, so see this swirl right there? Believe it or not, see that pink in there? Isn't that weird that that's the color that is mixed in this to make that color? Like, weird. You'd never guess it. Color mixing is so fascinating. I'm going to move this out of the way, but I'm going to keep touching onto that gray that we mixed. And I'm going to bring this guy over and give us some of that yellow. Get both yellows out. Now we're going to reach into our gray and we're going to give we're going to pull some of that yellow out and just give it a little kiss of that gray. Just to bring that into this color family. And see how that knocked that color back? It's not so high. I'm mustard, you know, it's a little bit more subdued. And I think I might track in some of this lemon color to brighten that color up. One of the ways that you can save money when you're painting is to learn to mix your colors, because there's no sense in having 800 bottles of paint when you can just mix a little touch of this and a little touch of that. It's a really neat skill. Okay, so we're going to go into our yellow, wipe off on the paper towel, and we are going to mask our areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stipple for coverage. The surface is loud, so we'll put a towel from the Dollar Tree underneath it, and that will help with the noise. So then we'll go around here, tuck that in the corner, go around there. Okay, and now we're going to take some of our mustard color, dirty brush, and we are going to dry rub the outsides with that stronger color. So we're shading and highlighting these flowers. It's just such a great technique. Okay, now let's take a peek, see if we like what we're doing. Oh yeah, look how pretty that is. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, and now let's get it some flower friends over here. I'm gonna knead this brush in a few minutes. And I'm showing you this. I have tons of brushes, but you may not have tons. So if you need to hold on to a wet brush before you put it in water, because you can't reuse these once they get wet, it just doesn't work. You can put it in a baggie and you can just set it off to the side. Just don't forget and leave it there because it will dry and then you'll have to work to get that paint out of your brush. So I'm going to switch to one of our new, this is a oval dome brush, and I think I'm going to get the tinier one. They come in 2 sizes. They're super affordable and they are nice and dense and they do a really good job of getting into tight spots. So I'm going to go into that pink that we made earlier. And I'll wipe that off. These work exactly the same, but instead of being round, they're in half. They're a squished little brush. So I'm going to go in to this little pink flower guy right here. See how I'm able to kind of work in between the plastic. Also picking up my paper towel fluff. Gives me a lot more control. Okay, so now we'll pick up that, let's pick up the orange first. That's also a really good advanced technique. Let me show you so that you can see. If I want to use the same brush again and again, I would go from the lightest color to the mediumest color to the darkest color, because then it will graduate and I won't be trying to conquer this dark color with this slightly orange color. I'm going to do this in the middle. And then we'll do this color out to the edge. Let's take a peek. Oh, cute. Cute, cute, cute. Like it. Okay, now we have to do our centers and then we'll do leaves. Okay, so this brush is going to go join this brush. Now we'll get our centers. What color? Number 44. And we can do a shading technique with this. What we can do is we can do a slight, very soft swirl. Same thing here. And then with this little tiny little guy, little crescent, you can get into that paint and go get a little bit of shadow just on one side or the other. Not enough paint. And this guy's a little too small for me to do that, so we'll just make him dark. Okay, let's take a peek. Pretty. Okay, I like it. All right, now let's get some leaves on there. This guy's going to join them in the bag. Okay, so now I'm going to take number 54 and wipe off, offload, and multi-mask. Now that we have things pretty, we want to be a little bit more careful. We don't want to have to redo things. Just take your time. Okay, let's take a little peek. Oh, that's so pretty. It's just a nice little bouquet. I think that's just lovely. Okay, and oh, you see I did ghost on my little polka dot right there, but that's okay. I'll color it a color. Now we need to do a little shadow, so I'm just going to brush mix into number 51, which is very, very dark green. I think I'm going to downsize. So I'm going to dirty it into the 54 and then pick up the 51 dirty brush. It's just a great way to ensure that you're all family here. And you want to shade down at the base. And then deepen your shadow. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, yes, that looks so pretty. All right, so then our little dots, I think we'll make them pink. So I'll grab out my pink brush and we'll go in. Just make them nice little pinky pink dots. And if I wanted to, lift this stencil up and maybe I want to add a 3 cluster of pink dots over here, and maybe a single up here, and over here. Okay, so you can totally make the stencil grow, and just see how that brings it into the art. Like that's really lovely. Okay, so now we have to do this bunch, and it's the same technique. We're going to use a different set of flowers. And then sometimes when you're off the edge, it will cause your stencil to bow up. So I'll look for something that's the same height or something that will lift that up and flatten it out, and that took care of it. This is another flower back here. So I went ahead and I'm leaving it without a bunch of shadow or highlight or change because then it'll make it a background flower, so you can't see as much vibrancy in things that are to the back. So I made this one pop by being detailed. And then we've got our leaves, and we're almost there. Okay, so that is what we have. I think I need to add a little leaf over here and a couple more little pokey dots. I like the 3 pokey dots. And you can do them real soft so that they're kind of background. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, I think this needs a few more green spots. So I'm gonna kind of cheat. I noticed over here, everything was kind of green. So I'm just gonna fill in back here. A little bit of green. Just touch that in. And then I can shade. And then I'm going to add one more leaf over. I'll add this little cluster of leaves right here. Let's tuck that in just a little bit. And I actually don't like how that tucks right under there. So I'm gonna go, it's fresh paint. I'm gonna go get that and untuck it. And have it just kind of be freestyling sitting there. And I'll probably add a polka dot cluster right there. And maybe another cluster. Well, I had out a butterflies, and maybe I'll just take one and do one. A little butterfly stencil, and maybe we need a little bit of that pink coming up this way. And we'll darken him up a little bit at the base. Just on one side. Yeah, that adds just a little. All right, you guys, I think this turned out adorable. I cannot believe how cute this turned out. All of these great techniques, we have the ombre, we have the drop shadow, we have fixing some mistakes because of sizing of lettering. We have learned so much with this, you guys. Make sure that you like, subscribe, ring that bell because we have so much content we want to share with you.